1987, I was flying home from my first trip to Bolivia, which is now considered the first VIM trip of the Oklahoma Annual Conference. And I got up from my seat on the airplane. I went over to where one of the pastors who had gone with me was sitting, and I said to him, wouldn't it be great if we could send maybe one or maybe even two teams a year from Oklahoma to Bolivia and maybe raise, I don't know, $100,000 over the next 4 years to help with the ministry of the Methodist Church of Bolivia. Pastor said, "No way, Dave. No way." He said, "It's too far. It's too expensive." He said, "People are interested in local missions. They're not interested in foreign missions." I went back to my seat and thought about it, and I realized he was probably right. Not only what he said, but I was an insignificant pastor in an insignificant church, and there was just no way. Those numbers were completely irrational. But God kept working on me while I was on that plane, and as I thought about it, I thought, well, what if maybe God did want this? What would be the first step? So I thought about it. It became pretty clear to me what it was, and so I took that first step, not really expecting much of a response, but son of a gun, people did respond. And so then I became aware of what the second step was, and I took that one, and gradually, step by step by step, God has led me away from any kind of ministry that I had ever expected to be in my life. Walked me away into this very unique, very unusual position, a job that perhaps there's nothing quite like it anywhere in the world. I'm the Bolivian missionary to Oklahoma. Pretty remarkable. I get no support from apportionments, no guaranteed income from anywhere, rely completely on donors, and doing this work that I just dearly love. Not only that, but I'm also the founder and executive director of a group that I started called Engineers in Action, which is even more bizarre. I run an office in La Paz, Bolivia with 5 engineers working for me, yet I live in Tulsa. I barely speak any Spanish. I'm not an engineer. It makes no sense to anyone, at least, except maybe to God. God has a tendency to take me off into very, very strange directions. I'd like to share with you about my ministry and the 2 strange jobs that I have. I hope you'll enjoy this PowerPoint.
Un saludo muy
Heartfelt and cordial greetings in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I would like
decirles que estamos acá
to say that we're very happy
gracias al apoyo
and thankful for the help
conferencia de Oklahoma.
for the Oklahoma Annual
Estamos
Conference
avanzando en el trabajo de la misión de nuestro Señor.
and
Como compañeros
helping
en
us in the
misión,
mission of our
hemos logrado
Lord
hacer varios proyectos
and helping us
para
to
mujeres, ancianos, jóvenes.
do various projects with seniors and
Creo que
youth.
es importante y
I believe it's
fundamental
important
poder seguir trabajando en esa
for us to
dirección,
continue to work in this
ya
way
que Bolivia es un país
because Bolivia is a country with many deficiencies, and David Stephenson is helping strengthen, for example, the work of Engineers in Action, working exclusively with the communities that need the most help, that are the most poor. In the area of potable water, it's fundamental to these communities and to their animals. In this way, we work in other areas as well, and it's very important. For us, the Bolivians as Methodists, the work of David is fundamental, it's important. There he makes contact and explains how the Methodist work in Bolivia His work is realistically very important so that we can continue to do the work that we need to do and work in these communities. It gives us the ability to raise the quality of life for these people in the sectors most deprived. Again, greetings to all that have come to listen. I hear each of us always pray and ask God for His richest blessings for your sons and daughters in the land of Oklahoma. Thank you very much.
It's hard to imagine to be able to express how important water is. Before this tank came in, 1 in 9 children in this village died by the age of 5. 1 in 9. Now that we brought in the water, that will drop to maybe 1 in 20, 1 in 25. How valuable is the life of a child? How much is it worth? For Engineers in Action, and for our partners with EWB Colorado Springs, it's worth our time and our money. Thank you to all who supported us for this gift of water.
Yo soy de esta escuelita de Suncayo.
Yes,
Professor.
I'm the teacher here in this school in Suncayo.
So you are doing things like cleaning themselves and stuff like that you weren't able to do before, washing hands and
O
things
sea
like
que
that.
ahora ya pueden lavarse más las manos, asearse, que antes no se podía hacer tanto porque no había mucha agua.
Excelente, porque hay mucha agua y ya se puede duchar. Aquí tenemos agua mucho, inundancia de agua. Ya se van a lavarse y se van a duchar y bueno, limpio van a andar estos niños.
Yes.
Así.
It's excellent because now we can, clean ourselves. The kids can take showers, wash their hands, and it's really good. The people.
Have you seen any difference in terms of sickness or is the stomach sicknesses and things like that? Have you seen a difference?
¿He visto alguna diferencia en las enfermedades? La gente se sigue enfermando así, harto del estómago. ¿Ha habido algún cambio o no?
No.
Sí, porque antes había habido solamente falta purificación de agua. Cuando van a purificar el agua yo creo que no va a haber muchas enfermedades porque hace días, por ejemplo, comenzaba anteriores, hasta los chicos mismos venían con eso, pero a los últimos meses que después de la instalación de este tanque ya no había esa enfermedad, pero sí falta poco a purificar el agua, hay que purificar el agua.
Yes, it's getting better because before they had more sickness like in stomach or diarrheas or things like that. But yeah, now it's getting better. He says that before we can see the change because they didn't see that they have much water here. It was just a small amount. So now that we finished to install the tank, the other part of the community down there, they have more water. So the people it's happy. They have water, enough water now.
Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias.
Por la ayuda a los niños, como también a usted. Ingeniera.
Thank you very much for the help for the children and everybody.
Oh, gracias.
Well, I would like to share my appreciation for the work of David Stephenson, the work that he does here in Bolivia. As a representative of Bolivia, he's able to help us affect the lives and work with the most humble of the peoples here in the sectors and area rural. The work that he does here is very important because it helps us to benefit those, especially with the help of equipment and salaries. And because of him, we don't lack much. And also, we appreciate the teams that collaborate with us and bring offerings. And they help us with the things that we most need and with the poorest people. We really appreciate our pastor, David Stephenson, and that's all I want to say.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. The Evangelical Methodist Church is in need of emergency funding of $25,000 to pay for the salaries of 9 nurses and 1 doctor who serve in Methodist health clinics throughout Bolivia. The church here builds these medical clinics out beyond the reach of the government. Oftentimes these are literally at the end of the road. They are always built in communities where there's a Methodist church and usually near the Methodist church. So everyone in the community knows this is a Methodist project. But they serve everyone in the community, not just the Methodists. And also usually always the surrounding communities, which numbers between 3 and 8 depending upon the location. These clinics and these nurses are usually the only medical personnel available to the people in those communities without having to walk 3 to 5 hours to get medical care. If these clinics close, the reality is that people will die. The elderly, those who are in accidents, women, particularly those who are going through childbirth, and mostly children without vaccines, without emergency care, without prenatal vitamins, and without help through childbirth. So the church has fallen behind in paying these nurses over the last year. Currently, they're behind by 3 months, February, March, and April. And they will also need help to finish out the year. My first concern when I found out about this about 6 weeks ago, my first concern was to help the IEMB develop a long-term, sustainable solution to the financial problem. We met with the Helicata. The Helicata is kind of my organizing committee in Oklahoma. It's 9 people who have been to Bolivia at least 5 times and who helped me plan. Together we have come up with I think a pretty good plan. And certainly by the beginning of 2014 or the end of 2013, we think that the salaries are going to be self-sufficient from the money raised by the VIM teams when they get home and by the government support. The problem is we've got to get through the next 18 months. I asked Laura Yana, who works in Kanani. At first I asked her, how are you eating? How are you getting by? You haven't been paid in 3 months. And she said, well, Pastor, she says, I borrow money from my family and the community gives me food because they know I'm not being paid. And I said, why do you still work? You haven't been paid for 3 months. We've been behind paying you for almost a year. Why are you still working? She looked at me with kind of an incredulous look and said, Pastor, she said, I'm trained to help people. These people need me. If I'm not here, they will die.
Bueno, la obra educativa
Well, the work in educating and education and health
es muy importante
is very important here in Bolivia.
Hay mucha gente
There are many people that are very poor, especially in the rural areas
hermanos carecen
where our brothers
de medicamentos.
need medicines.
Es prueba clara.
It's been proven clearly in
Probado y
the
probado nuestros
project in
hermanos que han
Capaiqui.
estado en Capaiqui, ¿no? Donde realmente ellos
Realistically, in this project, people often would walk 4 hours to get a medicine for tooth pain.
eso para nosotros como iglesia.
And for us in the church and the service of the church, it's important to help with things like this. And this is where we put health posts.
Por eso es que nosotros nos sentimos como iglesia muy preocupados en esa situación.
For this reason, we as the church feel very concerned in this area.
No sabe cómo
Very
va
often people don't know where to go to get help in delivering a baby.
Entonces, para nosotros es
Then for us,
muy importante
it's very
para esas
important
áreas rurales.
in these rural areas.
También decirles de que
Also,
muchas gracias por
I want to say thank you very much for the help
Estados Unidos.
that we get from the United States.
Muchas
We
gracias.
want to say thank you very much for David and the work in his situation,
A la gente que más necesita.
and for the work of the people who need it the most.
Embajador que nos representa en los Estados Unidos
And he represents well the United
para
States
recaudar fondos y que
to
esto llegue
help
a
get
las áreas
together
rurales.
funds
Agradecerles a cada
for these
uno.
rural areas.
Muchas gracias.
And we want to say thank you very much, brothers.
Hi, hello. I'm Modesto Mamani, Secretary National of Mission of the Bolivian Methodist Church. We have one missionary who is David Stephenson. David Stephenson is a missionary who is helping us to organize some missionaries from Oklahoma Conference to Bolivia. That group's coming to Bolivia, they are sharing their spiritualities, their knowledge, their values with Bolivian Methodist Church. And each group's coming to Bolivia in order to help us and to build some chapels, some constructions, some medical groups, and sometimes some pastor is coming to share their knowledge with youth and women, women of the Methodist Church. And for us it's very important, really very important, David Stevenson's time and his knowledge, his experiences. I can say thank you to David Stephenson. For example, this Saturday we will have another group in order to continue the elders building. And not one group, I don't remember, many groups coming from Oklahoma because the Pastor Stephenson is helping us in organizing in the United States different kind of missionaries. And also he is asking maybe for some monies for different projects that we have for women and pastor salaries and children's material education and some medical groups and some projects, for example, in order to build the women's center in Alto City. In conclusion, for us is again very, very important David Stephenson helpings to Bolivian Methodist Church. It is my testimony. I know to him, he is a good pastor. His message touch us, our heart, and his experiences encourage us to Bolivian Methodist brothers and sisters. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. I ask to you, and you can continue helping to David Stephenson in order to organize some groups, some projects. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Good evening, Bishop Hayes. Receive our greetings from Bolivia, especially with our Bishop Javier Rojas. You know that we have a partnership between Oklahoma's conference and Bolivia's conference. You know that since the Pastor David Stephenson started to help us and represented us to Bolivia Methodist Church, to Oklahoma's conference, many of our dreams becoming reality. Many of the dreams becoming reality because, you know, the Pastor David Stephenson helping us to find, to improve, to become more powerful in our solidarity action. That's why, in the name of the Bolivian Methodist Church, I can say thank you, brothers and sisters. I know that you are supporting to Pastor David Stephenson's salaries. Thank you so much, Bishop Hayes. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. Thank you so much, Pastor David Stephenson. Thank you so much. See you later. Bye-bye.
Like that pastor said in 1987, sending 2 teams a year and raising $25,000 a year for Bolivia, those numbers were simply ridiculous. In 2012 alone, so far, we have sent 8 church teams, 9 engineering teams, and raised over $500,000 for the Methodist Church and the people of Bolivia. Thanks to all who supported my ministry,
and allowed me to have the greatest job ever. Thank you.